What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, look, the Democrats, they fear they are blowing it, y'all. Check this out, y'all. Behind the curtain, Dems fear they are blowing it. Kamala Harris's campaign is in free fall right now, as a matter of fact. Look at the poll swing. That's all I'm going to say about that. Just look at the swinging polls. They're swinging in Trump's direction. It's not because Trump's a fascist or anything like this. All right, it's because Kamala Harris can't speak. You know that. I know that. I think everybody that listens to her knows that. It's like, well, what do you expect when you put up a candidate that's pretty much a Mrs. Potato Head and she can't answer a question straight? She's always giving you the runaround, saying stuff like,
you've been reluctant to lean into, to talk about the historic nature of your candidacy on the campaign trail. Why is that?
Well, I'm clearly a woman. I don't need to point that out to anyone.
I mean, what are you trying to say there, lady? That makes absolutely no sense. I mean, look at the Biden administration currently right now. Like, we've got a president who, he speaks, right? Like, when he does say stuff, you can understand what he's saying, and he gets to the point and he says what he needs to say. However, his cognitive decline has been such that he slurs his words so bad that you can't understand what he says. Now, Kamala Harris, she speaks, like, clearly. I'm not going to say eloquently, but she speaks very clearly. Like the words that are coming out of her mouth. You can understand every word that comes out of her mouth. No problems whatsoever there. But when you try to dig into the substance of what in the hell is she exactly saying here, you can't understand anything. It's like, we need to do what we need to do to get done whatever we got to do to get this done. It's like, come on now. Like, can you say something of substance? I mean, even CNN is bashing Kamala Harris. So it's no surprise whatsoever that Kamala Harris is tanking in the polls. I mean, look how long it took her to start doing interviews. And then as soon as she started doing interviews, what started happening to the polls? They started to shift, and they have been shifting ever since. Check this out, though. They are in panic mode right now. Check this out. A growing number of top Democrats tell us privately they feel Vice President Harris will lose, even though polls show a coin toss finish 11 days from now. A coin toss, huh? Yeah, I'm not sure I buy into that, right? Like, the polls may show that. As a matter of fact, I just saw a New York Times poll just came out this afternoon that shows on the popular vote a dead heat. They're even. As a matter of fact, I saw a different poll that 49% of Americans, get this, I'm going to stop, pause right quick, get this. 49% of Americans believe that Trump is a fascist. Like, huh? And yet, their same poll showed Trump with 47% over Kamala Harris's 45%. What does that tell you, folks? That people would rather vote for a fascist over Kamala Harris. That is nuts. But they're saying it's a dead heat. But we all know, like, they always ignore the bias in these polls. Like, you can look historically, there's clear bias in these polls. It's a large bias, too. It's not just the margin of error of 3%. Like, go back to 2020, there was a 5 to 6% bias for Democrats, in favor of Democrats. So if we stick to that same bias, because for some reason they can't seem to get out of their biases with these polling, like, why would they do that in the first place? It's misleading your own party. I know the polling places are supposed to be nonpartisan, but come on. They always favor Democrats, so that tells you something. Tells you something right there, that they are partisan, as a matter of fact. Why it matters. Democrats admit they tend to be hand-wringing, bedwetting doomsdayers. But what's striking is how our private conversations with Democrats inside and outside her campaign reveal broad concerns that little she does, says, or tries seems to move the needle. This is after Democrats spent $1 billion, nearly twice as much as Republicans, over the past 3 months to polish her image and soil former President Trump's. Oh, now they're coming out and actually admitting that they're doing all this. It's a wrap-up smear, folks. We saw the clip.
And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
Yeah. That's a tactic that they use. Nancy Pelosi even come out and said this. That's a tactic that they use. You drum up a headline, you get an anonymous source to say something about somebody, then the corporate press picks it up and runs with it. Then the Democrats will take that news article and run with that. Then they pick up the falsity, the smear or whatever, and then the corporate press, they come swing right back around in perfect circuitous fashion and say, oh, well, Nancy Pelosi said Trump is a fascist. That's how they do it. It's a tactic. Trump and allied committees raised about half Harris's total, $92 million, from October 1st to 16. The New York Times reports this morning. And this is after Trump's cringy 40-minute onstage sway to 80s music, his threats to target the enemies from within, calling his opponents retarded and shitty, and having his former White House chief of staff say he's a fascist, and talked admiringly, of Hitler. No, he didn't. We've already debunked that. And you want to know something? Like, to prove that point, to ram that point home, check this out.
But I wasn't in the room, Nick. You were. So why don't you tell me what's true, given the allegations that Donald Trump is some Hitler sycophant who, loves Hitler?
Right. Well, it is so easy to debunk that you almost don't know where to start, Benny. But as I said yesterday, first and foremost, I know the president personally. He's my friend. I know his heart. And unequivocally, it did not happen. The notion that he would have said such things or espoused such views, and somehow this would have been kept a secret for 4 to 5 years from the American people on itself is outrageous. What Goldberg and others know at The Atlantic, they know the way that White House operated and that White House worked. We would barely have meetings finished where there were internal policy or political positions being deliberated. And by the time we walked out of the meetings, they were being printed in the New York Times or Axios or The Atlantic or others. And so had the president ever come close to saying, thinking, espousing those views, promoting those ideas, it would have been a national news story instantly.
Yeah, so if that isn't proof of enough, right? You already had 2 people in his staff come out and debunk it that were in the room. This is a third person saying that was in the room saying this never happened. This is just made up. That's what the Democrats have resorted to, is making up stuff. They keep yelling and screaming Trump's a fascist, Trump's Hitler, Trump's a Nazi, Trump's all this other garbage, and none of it's working, y'all. Trump is still rising in the polls, right? Like I got into a little bit of spat last night with somebody in the comment section that says, well, he sure does love fascists and love dictators. It's like, come on, when has he said anything in admiration of dictators? Never. He never has. Calling somebody, like, to talk about President Xi, for instance, to say he's a fierce guy and he's smart. That's not admiration. Those are statements of, you could say, opinion, right? But you don't, it's almost a statement of fact. That's kind of what I want to say, but it's not really a statement of fact because you can't really prove somebody's smart or not. However, you can look at the evidence and you don't become the president of communist China by being an idiot navigating through the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. That's not something an idiot can do. I mean, only in America can an idiot be propelled to the top of a major party ticket. Like, look at the Democratic Party right now. That's what I'm saying. Like, but we're talking about dictators here. We're talking about Kim Jong-un. Yeah, he was born into that. However, he's not an idiot either. He's a smart guy. So is President Xi. So is Vladimir Putin. These people are all smart. But, you know, it's not mutually exclusive to be smart and it be a good thing. You can still be evil and be very smart, if you catch my drift. And I think that's what Trump means. He's not saying Xi Jinping is doing a good job. Like, I love this guy. No, he's just saying he's a fierce dude. He's negotiated with the dude before. So, when you negotiate with somebody, you can tell if somebody's stupid or not. And Trump has no problems calling somebody stupid. We all know that. So if he says that this guy is smart, he's probably telling the truth. That's probably a statement of fact. Xi Jinping is probably smart. Vladimir Putin is probably smart. It doesn't mean that they're not evil, though. And this is my whole point. That's what the corporate press loves to do. And they take you, John, and twist your mind around by feeding you, dumping garbage into your brain and, you know, getting enough of that garbage. Eventually, you're going to start to believe it. Your own biases are poking through, right? Like, I just saw this article, and I almost covered it too, of Trump did like a town hall thing in a barbershop in New York or something like that, and Fox News edited to make Trump look better. Yeah, they shouldn't do that, right? I blasted CBS for doing the exact same freaking thing. They shouldn't do that. Now, did Trump have anything to do with this? Yeah, we don't know. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Hey, Trump has been critical of Fox News a lot in the past, as a matter of fact. Trump has been very critical of Fox News. So we don't know. I'm sure they were just editing it for time. I didn't watch that interview or that town hall or whatever the hell it was. I read the article out, and it was full of just nonsense corporate press garbage, right? But, you know, to do that, I understand why they edit things out. And I said this when I talked about the CBS thing. I understand why they edit these things. But, you know, if you're going to post a clip of the guy asking a question and show an answer, and then on the full interview, you can't find that answer anywhere in that interview. She gives a totally different answer. You know, that's one thing. But editing out some BS, yeah, that's normal stuff. And apparently that's what happened with Fox News. However, I don't know if they should do that or not. This close to the election, I don't think they should do it. Did they do it at the behest of Donald Trump? I have no idea. Did CBS do what they did at the behest of Kamala Harris? I highly doubt it. It's not a stab at Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. But what I'm getting at is, like, I see it for what it is. I didn't read that article fuming like, oh, they're just going after Trump for nothing. No, I'm sorry. I can see when you know, unbiased stuff here. But if you go long enough buying into the corporate press narrative, right? Like they say, if you tell a lie strongly and enough times, repeatedly, in other words, people will start to believe it, even if they know it's not true. But, you know, I'm not going to say I don't get my own bias doesn't get in the way sometimes. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say I try to view things unbiased. And if you're only looking at Donald Trump through a biased lens, you need to back away a little bit. Come on, saying he's a fascist, saying that he wants generals like Adolf Hitler, that's just ridiculous to believe, to buy into this stuff. And then when you have people telling you otherwise, yeah, let's go ahead and go with that's probably not true. But let's keep going. A new Harris ad uses audio from the New York Times interview with the former aide retired U.S. Marine General John Kelly. Between the lines, We're not saying Harris is losing or will lose. An earlier behind the curtain column spelled out why this is Toss Up America. That's weird. Whatever, though. Our reporting simply reflects scores of conversations with people close to Harris and intimately involved in swing state races, including officials inside her campaign and top Biden administration officials. Harris's rhetorical journey has mirrored Democratic moods, from joy over the summer to darkness this week when she painted Trump as a dangerous fascist. Yeah, that's all they have left, y'all. What we're hearing, in a troubling sign for the campaign, top Democrats are already starting to point fingers at who'd be more responsible for a Harris loss. President Biden for dragging his feet, or Harris herself going down. A top Democratic official texted. That's funny. I would have to blame it on Joe Biden. I would have to blame it on the cabinet officials, everybody that was close to Joe Biden, that knew for a fact that, look, this guy, his cognitive decline is rapid. And he's not there anymore. He can hardly speak. His movements are really stiff. Age is starting to take effect on Joe Biden. We need to get him out of there. He should have never started a second campaign. Never started it. They should have put Harris at the top of the ticket from the jump, from get-go, or give it to somebody else. Like, not even join the campaign. That's what I would have done. And I also, it's not going to be, let's point the finger at Biden, or let's point the finger at Harris, or any of his cabinet officials, right? You can point the finger at those people. But the Democrats themselves, the entire Democratic Party, sued a plethora of candidates to try to keep them off the ballot, pushing people off the ticket. This is you guys. I'm speaking directly to the Democratic Party. This is your own fault. One, for the whole Biden situation, that screw up, because y'all should have known better than that. But, on the other hand, for pushing out good candidates, right? Like Dean Phillips. Dean Phillips would have been a very good candidate for Democrats, right? He was a solid guy. I watched a few podcasts from different sources, watching this guy, listening to what he had to say. When I saw how hard Democrats were suing this dude to keep him off the ballot in almost every single state, I'm like, hang on, this guy must be a threat to the establishment. So let me look at this dude. If some of his views were a little bit different, that might be, outside of Trump, might be somebody I would think about backing. Straight up, a Democrat. That's how based this guy was. He was pretty smart. But that's your own fault, Democrats. That's the entirety of the Democratic Party. That's your fault. Democrats fear she has made too many different cases against Trump and still hasn't fully revealed herself to voters who crave to know more. What do you mean hasn't fully revealed herself? That's her own fault. She can't reveal herself. She speaks circuitously, constantly. She can't speak any other way. What do you mean hasn't revealed herself? That's insane. She's been in the Biden administration for 3.5, going on 4 years. So people should know who she is. So I'm not buying that. They're just making up excuses now. But you got to love the excuse making, because their campaign is failing and they don't know what to do. We're going to lose to a fascist. She is who she is. One longtime Democratic strategist said, let's hope it's enough. Oh my goodness. You can see the panic in these people's words. Let's hope it's enough. She is who she is. Yeah, and she's not going to be anybody else. She is not presidential material. I'm sorry. If this person becomes a president, it's going to be tantamount to voting in a donkey as president. A jackass, if you will. Well, just, take that for what it's worth, y'all. Democrats say Harris faces a maddening double standard. What? As Trump threatens to jail adversaries and stop broadcast licenses. He gets to be lawless She has to be flawless, CNN senior political commentator Van Jones said this week. Oh my goodness, these people are so deranged with Trump. Like, that's just absurd on its face. He's not saying that he's just going to go and jail his political opponents if they've done nothing wrong. However, if these people have committed crimes, yes, that's the only way that's going to happen. And these people are crying and whinging about that. Like, I'm sorry, look, you can cry me a freaking river all you want to, but hey, you know, you need to be held to account for your crimes. If you commit crimes and you're investigated, you deserve to go to jail for whatever crime that was, whatever sentence is the standard or whatever. Hey, that it is what it is. I mean, for God's sakes, they're trying to jail him. How about the blatant hypocrisy of that? Making up crimes, getting state AGs and local district attorneys to go after this man over nothing, over clerical errors. Oh, he falsified a business record, even though, you know, we look at all the evidence, he really didn't falsify anything. Now, was it kind of manipulative of what was really going on? Sure. Sure, he had his lawyer pay this person, and then he paid his lawyer. That's not falsifying the business record. That might be a little bit underhanded tactic, but hang on, come to find out, that's totally legal. And they went after him anyway. Raised it up to a felony on a multiple choice. And then the whole fraud thing, the other case, the New York State case. They ordered him to pay $485 million where nobody was defrauded. Like, that was an absurd case. Which, that one, I don't know if you guys watched the appellate hearing, but those judges were going in on the state attorneys. Holy crap. Yeah, that's going to get overturned on appeal, for sure. Trump's not going to have to pay any of that money. As a matter of fact, the Alvin Bragg case, the falsifying business records, yeah, there were so many violations, not just due process violations for Trump. There were several other violations in that case itself. So that one's going to get overturned as well. All these cases, have you guys noticed a trend here? I don't know if you guys have noticed a trend. All my Trump haters out there, I don't know if you guys have noticed a trend. They keep on coming after this man. But for some reason, even with Democratic appointed judges, all these cases seem to be just dissolving and going away. That is right. That should tell you something about what's going on in this country. They've done everything they can to take this man out. And they just can't do it. So they're resorting to fear-mongering about him being a fascist. Yeah, there you go. That's a good job. Harris's closing ads focus on Trump as the three uns: unhinged, unstable, and unchecked. The other side. Trump's closing ad campaign has been tightly focused on two clips. An ad focused on transgender rights. Kamala's agenda is they, them, not you. And Harris's own words on The View that not a thing comes to mind about how she'd differ from Biden. She has since said she'd bring a new generation of leadership. No, it's going to be a continuation of just more insane garbage coming from Democrats. Stunning stat. The Trump campaign alone has spent more than $30 million on trans-focused ads, including one in Spanish in the past 36 days, according to AdImpact data, whatever that is. Top Republicans in private conversations seem shockingly confident given the consistent 50-50 polls. They talk in granular detail about White House jobs and discuss policy playbooks for 25. Reflecting the bravado, Dan Scavino, Trump's longtime close aide and ghost tweeter, refers to the 45th president as 45 and 47, and wrote last week on Trump's Truth Social platform, "I have zero interest in working with anyone who is a former colleague that disappeared upon our departure from the White House and was nowhere to be found when DJT announced his candidacy on November 15th, 2022, or was silent throughout 2023. Stop calling, stop emailing, stop texting. You're not hearing back from me." There you go. Ram that point home. We don't want rhinos in the administration. That is right. The big picture. A common gripe among high-level Dems is that Harris does a nice job explaining why people shouldn't vote for Trump, but struggles to crisply explain why they should vote for her. In other words, she's a strong prosecutor, but struggles as a public defender. Holy crap. No, she doesn't do... Like, if you're having to make up stuff to go after your political opponent, that's not explaining why you shouldn't vote for him. You're just lying to everybody. And she can't speak regardless. All she could do, well, I'm not Donald Trump. Well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. You're not. You're Kamala Harris, as a matter of fact. Bet you didn't know that one, did you? Like, come on. What are we doing here, lady? How do you get to be in her position when you can't speak? Like, it blows my freaking mind. Blows my mind. This article is just... enlightening, I should say. Put it that way. Democratic Insider loved a line Harris used in the CNN town hall on Wednesday night and sharpened Thursday night outside Atlanta in Clarkstown, Georgia. Just imagine the Oval Office in 3 months. It's either Donald Trump in there stewing over his enemies list, or me working for you checking off my to-do list. The campaign even socialized a 15-point Kamala Harris to-do list. Well, oh my God, right? Like, really? You really think Trump is going to care about his enemies list when he gets in there? No, of course not. He's already said it before. He's going to be so busy overturning all the garbage from the Biden administration, he's not going to have time for retribution. He said that outright. His retribution will be success. And that is right. And hey, look, if that's what he wants to do, go right ahead, Trump. I'm not going to bash Trump for not prosecuting these criminals in the establishment. I'm not. But I really hope that he does go after these people. If they've committed crimes, and we can prove they committed crimes, investigate, do all that stuff, do it properly, because, you got to do it that way. You can't just make up crap and go after somebody like they do. You got to do it right. Investigate these people if they've committed crimes. Throw the freaking book at them. Absolutely throw the book at them. That's what I say. But otherwise, hey, get to business, Trump. You got a lot of work to do, buddy. Better late than never, a top Democrat told us. Another leading Democrat said, "It's good. We're not dead yet." Zoom in. Democrats once felt very good about Nevada, a state Biden won in 2020, but early voting has them panicked. Yeah, we talked about this the other day. They're like underneath by like 6,000 votes. Of course, they don't know exactly who those people voted for, but we see Republicans voting and Democrats voting, and Republicans are outvoting Democrats right now in early voting, at least. Early voting, at least. But early voting has them panicked. John Ralston, the top Nevada election expert, writes that the surge in early rural Republican voting, a rural tsunami, is ominous for Harris. There is no good news in these numbers for Dems. Pennsylvania continues to worry Harris despite Biden winning there in 2020 among the 7 swing states. It's the one campaign insiders think she absolutely has to win, with signs of GOP momentum in the state's Senate race. Reality check. Harris inherited a very tough hand, establishing and executing a campaign for president starting just 3.5 months before an election is unprecedented in modern politics. Besides Biden being unpopular, inflation has been the incumbent killer globally. Polls and election results in Canada, the UK, France, Germany, Japan, and South Korea all show this anti-incumbent tide. The bottom line, we can't ignore the reality that no matter what Harris says or does, this country has never elected a woman president and only once elected a black president. It's never elected a black woman. Toss in broad concerns about immigration and inflation, and it's a lot to overcome, her advisors say. Oh, you gotta love that. Now they're throwing out all the excuses as to why she can't win. What should be the problem getting Democrats behind a Democrat politician? What should be the problem there? When you have Donald Trump, that these people are so deranged that most of them, as a matter of fact, I think it was 89% of Democrats think Donald Trump is a fascist. That means that you should get at least 90% of Democrats to vote for Kamala Harris. But we're not seeing that, are we? We're not seeing that at all. We're not seeing that whatsoever. But, it shouldn't be a problem for her. A lot of Democrats, they keep saying, I would switch gears right quick. They keep saying that, oh, it's a woman. That's a hurdle to overcome, if you will. But once again, like I always say, sure, there may be some misogynists out there or whatever. Who cares about that? But did we all forget Hillary Clinton won the popular vote in 2016? Did we forget that? So it's not the woman thing. So let's throw that out the door. So it boils down to the candidate herself. She is just inarticulate and annoying as hell, if you ask me. Like, she can't speak. That's the main thing. And none of these people are really saying that. That's the main problem. It's not the fact that she just started 3.5 months ago. That's garbage. Because did we all forget about the absolute explosion of support when Kamala Harris came out, when Biden dropped out and Kamala Harris came in? Did we forget about that? I was actually getting worried there for a little while, like, holy crap, this is insane. Did we forget that she has raised $1 billion in 3.5 months versus Donald Trump's $309 million? It's just crazy. So it's not that, is it? It is not that. But that also tells you where the money is. All the money's on the Democrat side. That's supposed to be the blue-collar party. Doesn't seem to be the case these days, does it? I don't know. I'm just an independent. I'm not aligned with anybody. Not really. But however, I do identify closer to Republicans because I do call myself a conservative. But, the current Republican Party as a whole is garbage. We do have this MAGA movement going on in the Republican Party that is absolutely changing the face of the Republican Party. And I can almost assure you, if Donald Trump wins, it's going to be bye-bye to the old Republican Party. And I will probably go change my party affiliation, to be honest with you. I most certainly will. Because at that point, it's going to be sold up. We're going to get rid of the rhinos. Just outright get rid of these people, get them out of there, and then maybe, just maybe, we can have a decent Republican Party. But I forgot to plug my damn channel, y'all. Y'all do me a big favor. Smash that like button for me if you don't mind. I sure would appreciate it. And if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. I really need your help, guys. Seriously. Like, if you're still watching the video, which I hope you are, do me that favor, smash that like button, share this video with anybody and everybody that you can. I really need the help, y'all, but I think that's all I got for this one. Want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Are they just trying to make up excuses because they know they've lost? They're already starting to point the finger everywhere. oh, it's funny to watch this. But y'all let me know. Y'all give me some feedback. Let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.